Hello students, a very good morning. Continuing the next session on root canal treatment. So you have gone through the anatomy, the access to preparations, the working length determination, the shaping and cleaning, the intracanal medicaments. Finally coming to obturation, that is the sealing or obliteration of the root canal space. So we always have to strive for a perfect seal. This is the main aim of obturation. So it has been defined by the American Association of Endodontists as a three-dimensional filling of the root canal system as close to the cemento-dentinal junction as possible. In simple words, it is nothing but the filling of the root canal space after the preparation, that is after shaping and cleaning, with an inert material. So by now I think you are aware of all the root canal materials or the obturating materials, the ideal properties, which I am sure you would have gone through in the previous videos. So this is a root canal which is infected. So if you remember the rationale of endodontics, that is the fish theory, the central zone is the zone of infection, right? So the pulp is infected, because of which it has led to a periapical lesion. So the first step in endodontics is to gain access to this pulp and extirpate the pulp, that is remove the pulp, along with it the debris, the microorganisms, its exudate, etc. And after shaping and cleaning, make sure that all these entries into the root canal or the pulp space are sealed with an inert material. So this is called the obturation. So we have removed everything from the central zone, or the pulp has been extirpated, and that space should not be left behind empty. So that has to be filled. It has to be completely filled. This step is nothing but the obturation. So completely the pulp space is obliterated, that is removed and filled with an inert material. So once the zone of infection is removed and shaped, cleaned and filled, then we know that we have studied that the rest of the periapical tissues will heal it by themselves. That is, the other zones, which is a zone of contamination, irritation and stimulation, will be taken care of once this central core or the zone of infection is completely removed. So just a recap of the previous classes, that is, when the caries starts from the enamel, extends into the dentine and reaches the pulp, then is the time to start the endodontic treatment. Sometimes when the patient neglects at this level, we also find that the infection proceeds to periapical tissues and results in a periapical lesion, which is usually an abscess. So in such cases, when the patient presents to us with a swelling and pain, we first have to gain access to the canal, root canal, which is called access to preparation, then followed by shaping. Hope you remember, this is the filing motion, and the shaping is usually done with the files, H files, K files and many, and followed by irrigation. So also the irrigants which not only flush the debris out but also have a good antimicrobial property. So for a thorough cleaning and shaping, or shaping and cleaning, we need this combo does the best job. That is, the mechanical instrumentation followed with the irrigation completely disinfects the root canal. So once we are done with that, then the pulp space should not be left empty but to be obturated with an inert material. So I think you must have studied about all those materials which are used for obturation. Earlier metals were used. Of late, the gutta-percha, these are the gutta-percha cones which is commonly used for obturation. So this is a clinical picture where I want you people to appreciate that these are the files within the root canal. This is a radiograph taken to confirm the working length. So Engel method. So after we pre-operatively measure the root canal length, then we place the files and confirm, right? Hope you remember this technique. So these are the files which are placed in the root canal. Make sure that it is 0.5 mm short, and this is a rubber dam clamp, which this radio opaque structure is a rubber dam clamp, the isolation procedure which is followed. Later, so after shaping and cleaning, then this is the obturation. The radio opaque material which is appreciated here is the obturation, followed by a post endodontic restoration to re-establish the original anatomy. So this is the obturation. Now here this radiograph shows us the complete endodontic treatment. So the main obturation should be aim should be to obtain a three-dimensional seal to avoid the re-entry of microorganisms. That is, so we should always see that after we finish the obturation of the root canal, the main aim or the objective should be to obtain a fluid tight seal. There should not be any fluid entry from the periapical tissues or from the clavicular tissues or from the oral cavity. So we should make sure that the whole pulp space is obliterated with the inert material that we have used for obturation, and all this should prevent recontamination. So there are two usually controversial or debated topics. Now they are more clear. Earlier I should say they were debated. So what is the timing of obturation, or that is when should the obturation be started? When should the root canal system be obturated? Other question usually was where should it end? Are the two most important things that we should know. Historically, earlier, that is, the treatment was done in more than 2 or 3 appointments. That is, the first appointment when the patient visits us with pain or swelling, usually an access cavity preparation is done, that is, gain access to the root canal, remove the zone of infection, then close it. Close it in the sense, give a temporary dressing just on the superficial part. Then the second visit followed by shaping and cleaning, and again give a temporary dressing. Then recall the patient again in the third visit and finish the obturation. In between these visits, an intracanal medicament will be placed. Okay, so intracanal medicament will be placed on which a temporary restoration will be given. This intracanal medicament was placed to disinfect the canal. Make sure that the microorganisms which could not be removed during shaping and cleaning would be killed by these antimicrobial agents. Like that is the different intracanal medicaments you have studied. So what was the problem was? So how did they assess that this was the right time for obturation? The main criteria used then was the negative microbial culture. That is, after the second appointment, after the shaping and cleaning, a culture was taken. A swab was taken from the root canal and sent for culture. As you all know, the culture, to give a result, we should at least wait for a week to let the microorganisms grow. Okay, so based on that, then after a week when the results were obtained, so if it was positive, that is if there was a growth of microorganisms, then again it was shaped and cleaned and then followed with obturation. Or if there was a negative, that is, it showed that there was no microorganism growth, then it was continued with the obturation. But this did not seem to be a reliable method because it was very time consuming. As we said, if the result itself would take a week, so this was a too long a period to wait for. And the other problem was sometimes it would be false negative or false positive. False negative is even if there are microorganisms, because in your mistake taking a culture you would get a negative result, or sometimes though there are no microorganisms it would show a positive result. So this was very difficult to decide on the chair side. Then sometimes when you take the swab, probably yes, you may get a negative culture. But during this 1 week period, there is every chance that the microorganisms in the root canal would regrow, multiply, or sometimes with the temporary restoration that you have placed would be lost because of the various reasons. So when there is a loss of temporary restoration, all that we take or all that the patient takes would seep into the root canal and again start a microbial infection. So all these were the problems which were usually faced by the clinician when following this multi-appointment root canals. So traditionally or historically, the negative microbial culture was taken as the timing for obturation. Apart from that, the absence of foul odor. When you feel that there is something smelling very bad, something like an abscess or a pus, then we should not continue obturation. And other sign was if the patient had no signs and symptoms or when is comfortable. So all these were taken into consideration. But now after we have introduced a single visit endodontic treatment, or now because we do it in very short appointments, now what are the signs that we consider it to be ideal for obturation is the absence of pain and swelling, the absence of persistent exudate, that is If there is exudate continuously oozing out of the canal, it is also called as weeping canal. The canal is weeping, crying. Okay. So if there is some exudate that is persistently coming out of the canal, also is not an ideal time for obturation. So and thoroughly debride. If you have debrided it now, that is, if you have done the shaping and cleaning now, this is the best time for obturation. So immediately we should proceed for obturation, because we are 100% sure that we have removed all the microorganisms with the help of the mechanical instruments and also with the irrigants. So all these factors are considered now to be the ideal timing for obturation. So in single visit endodontics, what is single visit endodontics? Is when all these three steps, access cavity preparation, shaping and cleaning, obturation done in a single appointment. Okay. We will be covering more advantages, indications, disadvantages, contraindications of all this in further classes. Just right now, you just have to remember that all these three steps are done in a single appointment. So by doing so, we are sure that our canal is clean and there is no potential for recontamination. We are not appointing the patient two to three times. So there is no temporary cementation placed. So we are sure that the restoration will not give up and there may not be any leakage. And the other was, yes, when it was multi-visit appointment, the most commonest other irritating factor was sometimes there would be a fracture of the tooth, which was overcome in single visit endodontics. So this we have answered the question. What is the timing? Right? Now the other question to be answered is, where should it end? So where should we stop our obturation? Ideally it should be stopped at the CDJ. The best answer is yes, it should be confined within the root canal, no doubt, and it should be at the CDJ, or otherwise called as the minor diameter. CDJ is histological finding, so my apical constriction or the minor diameter is considered as the ideal place to end our obturation. So this is how it should be. So this is where the obturation should stop. Anything extending beyond this means that we have forced our obturating material into the periapical tissue. So this is wrong, and our material should stop at the apical constriction. This is the ideal method. So among most of the materials used, ideally there were metals, plastic, cements or paste. So earlier there were the first one known to mankind was a bronze wire, which was used to obliterate the pulp space. Later it was gold foil by Hudson. Then many other materials were attempted to fill the root canal space, but the breakthrough was by Hill in 1847 by his introduction of gutta percha, which is also commonly called as Hill's stopping. So this caused a major breakthrough, and this is the most commonly used obturating material. Gutta percha means strings of the sticky plant, or it is also called as sap or strips of the cloth, which is obtained from the tree, mezar wood tree. This is how, similar to rubber, this is obtained and then processed in the laboratory. But of late, it is also chemically processed. Now, the gutta percha is not obtained from the plant, it is chemically processed in the laboratory. There are three forms, common forms you should know, three forms of gutta percha, crystalline forms, which are alpha, beta and gamma. Beta are the ones which are most commonly used. And I think you would have gone through this composition of the commercially available gutta percha in your previous videos. So we sterilize this gutta percha by soaking it in 5.25% sodium hypochlorite or 5% just for a minute, or if you have to disinfect it, it is done so by soaking it in 1% sodium hypochlorite for a minute. So what is the difference? Hope you realize the difference between sterilization and disinfection. Sterilization is destroying all the vegetative forms and also the spores, whereas disinfection is just aiming at killing the vegetative forms. So the different forms of gutta percha. So these are called the cones or the points. These are the non-standardized points. Sorry, these are the non-standardized point. This is a standardized gutta percha point. Standardized in the sense they follow the 2% ISO standardization, which similar to the instruments, hand files. So these are earlier these were supplied in the same color. So we have to know the size of these GP points or cones by seeing the number on the box. They have now made it easier by color coding it. So this we can easily recognize this as 15 size, 20 size, 25 size, etc. White, yellow, red, blue, green, black. The same ISO standardization, the color has been used for these GP cones. So the GP cones are also available in 4% and 6%. The central light color is the 2% cone. Now you can see you can appreciate how big the 4% and the 6% cone looks like. So these are all the 6% cones. The GP or the gutter patch are also available in the form of pellets or bars. You just have to remember these terminologies. GP is not only supplied in the form of cones or points, but also in other forms like pellets, which are used in thermoplasticized gutter patch, which we will be studying further, and also in the form of syringes. It is also coated, they are pre-coated on the carriers. So this form of gutter patch is also used in thermoplastic gutter patch technique, which will be again covering later. So just remember the different forms of gutter patch, and these have also been attempted as by mixing them within the sealers known as Chloropatra and Euchloropatra. So coming to the different obturation techniques. One of the classification by J.J. Messing, it is divided as sectional, single cone, multiple cone, gutter patch with solvents, thermal compaction, and thermoplasticized. The most commonly used classification is by Gutman and Witherspoon, where they broadly classified it into 3 types. That is the solid core gutter patch with sealants, the apical third filling, and the third one is the injection or the spiral filling technique. Again, these are further classified. Now coming with the first one, that is the solid core gutter patch with sealants. So below that, as I said, they are further classified. The first method is the cold gutter patch points, that is most commonly used as a lateral compaction technique. So what does this word cold mean? That it does not mean that we place it in the fridge. Okay, it is at the room temperature. The gutter patch points which are used at room temperature. So in the lateral compaction technique, we use gutter patch at the room temperature. This is the most commonly asked question, lateral compaction of gutter patch. Then they also try to plasticize the gutter patch. As I said earlier, we need a fluid tight seal. All the avenues of entry, that is the lateral canals, the main canals, the axillary canals, should be filled by the gutter patch. Gutter patch is solid, so we cannot expect it to flow into the lateral tubules and the axillary canals. So the next attempt was made to plasticize them with a chemical. So these chemicals plasticize it. Plasticize meaning they are softened. So it was done with eucalyptol, chloroform and halogen. But there were few disadvantages with these. That is why they try to warm the GP within the root canal. So these the different techniques where they attempted to warm the gutter patch within the root canal are the vertical compaction technique, the system decompaction and the sectional compaction. They also tried attempting it, warming it within the root canal by mechanical means. As you know, when there is an instrument rotating, when there is one rotating instrument come in contact with the surface, then there is a friction produced. Along with it is the heat produced. So this heat will plasticize the GP within the root canal. So that is the technique used in thermomechanical compaction. So again they attempted at a different. So first was the solid core was used. Then the second was chemically plasticizing it. Third was warming the gutter patch within the root canal. Then they came up with a different technique where the gutter patch was plasticized outside the root canal. Okay, so outside the root canal it is thermally plasticized and then introduced. So 2 different ways of doing it, that is by syringe insertion or by solid core insertion. Remember this word, I said GP is coated on the carrier technique, right? So this solid core technique is a form of obturation. So as I mentioned earlier, the other 2 types of the apical third filling, where these 3 methods come under that, then is the injection of the spiral filling technique, where the Siemens space are directly used to obturate the canal. The more simpler classifications are based on the number of core materials. That is, I hope you remember the picture where I showed you the 6% Gatapaccia cone. So sometimes that single cone is used to obturate the whole root canal space. So when we use a single cone, it is called a single cone technique. When we use many number of cones to obturate the space, then it is called multiple cone technique. So based on the direction of compaction, it can be classified, the obturation can be classified as lateral compaction and vertical compaction. Based on the temperature of the core material used, they can be classified as cold, that is at the room temperature, or the warm compaction techniques. If you use a sealer, then it is obturation with sealer. If you are not using it, then without sealers. So obturation can also be classified based on the sealers used. So if instrumentation, as you know that only after shaping and cleaning we continue with the obturation. But there is one technique which was put forward by Mr. Lucy, which is called as non-instrumentation technology. So where we do not instrument it, there is a unique method of instrumentation, that cleaning of the root canal followed by obturation. So these are the different methods of obturation of the root canal. So next video we will be studying about these different techniques one by one. What is lateral compaction, what is vertical compaction, and what is thermoplastic Gatapaccia.